All right, time to get into our power rankings heading into week 5. We do these every single week, so make sure you stick around, like, subscribe, put that post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos, weekly picks, predictions, power rankings like this. Stick around. It's a great community on top of that, so great place to be. Number 32, we have the Chicago Bears. You're up 28-7, 28-10. Regardless, you blew a big lead. It was looking like you're on your way to a first, to the first really good game, kind of like a breakout game. All of a sudden, the Broncos, Russell Wilson, march back into it, and it's just a very disappointing ending to a very promising game in the first half. It's very, very disappointing. I mean, this Broncos defense is very bad, I think I see a lot of people blaming the coaching here. I don't see the coaching being the biggest issue. I see the biggest issue being Justin Fields. I mean, I know the offensive line is horrible, and he doesn't have a great situations in terms of, an offensive line, but he's got some good running backs. He's got some playmakers. Darnell Mooney, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. He's got some playmakers. And a lot of people are complaining that they took the ball out of Justin Fields' hands. Justin Fields took the ball out of his own hands. He fumbled it towards the end. He threw an interception towards the end. He was making a lot of bad decisions and just poor plays in the stretch of that game, which ultimately led to the Broncos being able to complete that comeback. So I think Fields needs to be taking a little bit of dirt here. I don't think he's taken enough. He took the ball out of his own hands late in the game when it mattered most. When Justin Fields had to go down, change momentum, and win it, he couldn't do it. And we saw, in that first half, Justin Fields looked really good, but there were a lot of blown coverages. There were a lot of wide open throws that Fields better be able to make. And impressive. 4 touchdowns, nice. I think one of them should have been taken off. He should have had 3. That touchdown to DJ Moore, his foot wasn't down. That was not a touchdown. But call it a touchdown. It is what it is. It's NFL. There's a lot of calls that went the Bears' way as well. There's one point in the game where Russell Wilson slid. It was later in the game. Russell Wilson slid, and the refs, and he was hit late. The refs called no flag. So I would say the Bears definitely got away with a couple of calls here. They definitely got a couple of breaks. The refs feeling for the Bears here. And, for that reason, they're down here at 32. You blew a big lead. You're supposedly franchise quarterback making mistakes down the stretch. And his offensive line is not good. And, a lot of people complain about the coaching, but I straight up just see a quarterback that is missing wide open receivers. He's just missing reads, holding the ball too long. That's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing the future. That was really a game. And let's see if we could build on top of it and continue going. But the way that game ended, where was he? And you could blame the defense. Okay, but Justin Fields fumbled. And I believe that fumble turned to a touchdown. If not, it was very close and set up a touchdown. They got away with a couple calls as well. And he threw an interception one of the last drives. I'm just not seeing the winning, just that winning blood in them. And the team isn't great. You can't really blame wins and losses on quarterbacks fully. But down the stretch, Justin Fields couldn't do what he needed to do. And could you kind of blame the entire team in a way? Yes, but rough outing for the Bears. Roller coaster of a game. Number 31, you had the Carolina Panthers. I mean, the Vikings have one of the worst run offenses in the entire NFL, if not the worst. Alexander Madison's been struggling, but the Vikings had a pretty good day running the football. One of their weaknesses, did pretty well against Carolina. Carolina's supposed to have a good defensive line and, a half-decent defense. J.C. Horn is out with an injury currently. Justin Jefferson had himself a day. Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young doesn't have too much around him himself. Not too much else to really say about the Panthers. They're very disappointing so far this year. Can't get anything going. Coaching is not very good. I'm going to go, number 31. They're down 2 spots. Number 30, one of the more disappointing teams so far in the 2023 NFL season, the New York Football Giants. So, this team is very predictable. That's the issue. There's a lot more problems with this team than I initially thought. Offensive line is horrible. Evan Neal is horrible. He's not the answer. Get Evan Neal out of there as soon as possible. Put your backup in there. That's how bad Evan Neal is playing. Coaching is kind of getting not really like stale in a way, but it's not helping. I'm just not seeing it. The defense isn't there. Very young secondary, defensive line. The front seven is inconsistent. It's just a big mess. I don't think it's all Daniel Jones' fault. I think Jones is doing what he could. Daniel Jones isn't that quarterback that's going to run like crazy. He can still run at a high level, but Daniel Jones wants to throw the football. His receivers aren't getting open. His offensive line isn't blocking for him. And on top of that, he's without his top playmaker in Saquon Barkley. So 100%, Daniel Jones is not the issue. It's basically the rest of the team is the issue. The offense and defense, very predictable. The defense, they're going to blitz a lot, call out a man coverage. It's just a mess, man. They have a lot of things to look over this offseason. They have a lot that they need to look through to improve and ultimately become that team that they want to. Number 29, Las Vegas Raiders. I didn't feel the need to move them up or down. It's kind of the game I expected from them. They did lose, so I just don't think they're worse than these other teams that are moving down. The Raiders, they have somewhat of an offense. They have some weapons. The defense is bottom tier, one of the worst in the league, but they can get the run game going. Kind of sometimes. Passing game is better. It's better with Jimmy G. The Raiders are just getting it done more than these teams that are behind them. I don't know. I'm not saying the Raiders are a good team. They're very bottom tier, and that is why they're down here at 29. For 28, you have the Denver Broncos. Impressive comeback win. Russell Wilson has quietly been playing really well. Been really impressed with Russell Wilson. He's been making good plays here and there. His receivers are starting to get open a little bit. Offensive line's not great, but Russ is, he's running around. Champagne looks like he's maybe getting the offense going. I know there's a few games in there where the offense isn't too impressive, and, it's really being overshadowed by how bad that defense is. You allowed, 35-36 to Washington one week. You allowed 70 to Dolphins. And, you did have a few weeks in there where, it looked like the defense was right, but you still allowed 24 to the Raiders. It's just this Broncos defense is not very good, and that's overshadowing how good this, that this offense has been. All right, it's been much better than last year. I could give you that for a fact. But the defense is obviously 100 times worse than it was last year. All right, number 27, the Arizona Cardinals. So the Cardinals, the thing with them is they're playing hard, man. Eagles fans are missing Jonathan Gannon. We just saw this past weekend. That Eagles pass defense is not looking good. You lost Avonte Max in the slot. You moved James Bradbury into the, you moved James Bradbury in the slot. You have Josh Jobe. You have other guys trying to, experiment on the outside and trying to get someone playing good there, but you're not getting it. And, they're really missing the high level play calling by Jonathan Gannon. A lot of Eagles fans couldn't wait to push him out. They thought it was his fault in the Super Bowl. Absolutely not. The players have to go out there and play themselves. It's not, there's only so much a defensive coordinator could do. What the Eagles were out 10 points. They blew it. The defense blew it, and the entire team blew it. It's a team effort. It's not just the head coach, the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator. That's not all to blame. There's more to blame than that. But Jonathan Gannon has his team playing really hard. They did, fight hard with the Niners for a little while there. And the Niners just pulled away. Expected the Niners were one of the best teams in the NFL. But to be quite honest with you, I've been impressed with the Cardinals this season so far. Much better than I and many people have anticipated for them. All right, then you have the New York Jets at 26. They are down one spot. Very disappointing. That loss. I take that back. It really wasn't disappointing. It was kind of impressive from what we saw from Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson is looking like a better and better quarterback. He's taking his checkdowns. He's seemingly making some better decisions. Still playing a little too much hero ball, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from Zach Wilson a little bit. Maybe Zach Wilson, this Jets team, can't sneak into the wild card. I don't think so. There's so many good teams in the NFL, in the AFC, but we'll see. I just haven't really looked into it, but there's a lot of good teams. But the Jets down here at 26 after a 3-point loss to the Chiefs. Obviously, a defense just plays at a very high level, one of the better defenses in the league, if you ask me. But defense can't win you all the games. All right, number 25, you have the New England Patriots. Patriots are down a whopping 7 spots, and that is because they get absolutely murdered by the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys showing us, they're not who they were. They're not what they looked like versus the Cardinals. But the Patriots, man, it's looking like the Bill Belichick era might be coming to a close. Mac Jones era might be coming to a close. I'll say Mac Jones has had a few good games this season, but last game obviously wasn't it. this Patriots team needs an overhaul. The defense isn't great. Well, the defense isn't horrible. You have a pretty damn good coach, but I believe they had quite a few players out. I think they had Matthew Judon and a few other guys were out. So but still 38 points and then only 3 points, so it wouldn't really mattered because you couldn't get the offense going. Yeah, man. Patriots down here at 25. Not really used to seeing the Patriots down here this low. Just for how long they were so good, but this is kind of seeming like the end of the Belichick era. Number 24, the Indianapolis Colts. They're down 3 spots. So the Colts, we saw what they can be in that second half, but the first half is kind of like the Colts that I expected, kind of like the Colts that I thought I would see this year. The pass defense, very inconsistent, very bad, not good coverage. Anthony Richardson, wildly inconsistent. He has flashes here and there, but AR has a long way to go. He's not making great reads. He's holding on the ball for a long time. 11 for 25. Not really a great week for AR in the first half. The second year the second half he really picked up and he looked better. Still making he still fumbled twice. 11 for 25. The Colts gonna have to clean a few things up. This could be a team that moves up, moves down. Well, ultimately after week 3 and 4, we start to see who is who. The Colts are just going to be that inconsistent team all year. Number 23, you have the Tennessee Titans up 5 spots, putting in they opened up a can of ass whooping on the Cincinnati Bengals. Pretty good game. What was it? 27-3 after they just got beat 27-3 by the Browns. So way to bounce back. The Bengals just don't look like themselves, but that Tennessee run defense is pretty incredible. It's one of the best in the league, if not the best. Passing defense really impressed me, but Joe Burrow, he's still hurt, not really 100%. Titans really, got that run game going. Derrick Henry had his game, and the Titans move up 5 spots to 23. Number 22, you have the Minnesota Vikings. I moved them up 1. I wasn't overly impressed with the Vikings. They should have won this game, and it wasn't looking good for quite some time. Eventually, Kirk Cousins and this Vikings offense, they will get going as they always do. But, as we've seen versus the Eagles, some different teams, if you don't play the entire game, you're not going to win. Kirk Cousins has been turning over the ball quite a bit this season so far. I'm starting to dial back my Kirk Cousins love a little bit because, he has been playing really well and passing the ball really well, but, he doesn't really have a run game. Offensive line has been beat up. He's been overturning the ball quite a bit, fumbling, throwing a few interceptions. That pick 6 was really bad. But Kirk Cousins is going to throw interceptions. He's going to make mistakes, but at the end of the day, he does also make a lot of big plays for you. So, it's not all Kirk Cousins, but, there's something wrong. You're really struggling against a Panthers team that just hasn't really been able to get anything going. The Panthers, the Vikings defense looked pretty good. The Panthers really only scored 1 offensive touchdown. So I was impressed by the Vikings defense. We're also playing the Panthers. They're going to have to find some consistent pass rushing outside of Daniel Hunter. Otherwise, they don't really have that much of a consistent pass rush. Of course, on the offensive side of things, you have Jefferson, Addison, Alexander Madison had a nice game. Vikings up at 22. Number 21, you have the Atlanta Falcons. So, Falcons, man, Desmond Ridder ain't it. He is not it. He's making horrible decisions. He threw back-to-back interceptions on 2 attempts in a row. Pretty sure it was. The Falcons are a team that's going to want to get that run game going, and they're going to rely on that. But, as we saw versus the Jaguars have a really good run defense. If you stop the Falcons' run game, then you could probably beat the Falcons because Desmond Ridder isn't it, making a lot of poor decisions, accuracy issues, just not looking a part of an NFL quarterback one bit. All right, number 20. Yeah, man, the Cincinnati Bengals just not being able to pick it up where we thought they may be able to. The Bengals have always been that team notorious for starting slow, but it's just, Joe Burrow's not looking like himself. I think it's a bad decision to keep on trotting Joe Burrow out there. Burrow, the issue with it is Burrow, he's as we all know, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but, when you have an issue with your calf, you can't balance right. You can't make your throws how you want to. Honestly, I think they should just sit Joe Burrow. All he's doing is getting hit over and over and over again, and, you're not winning on top of it. So just, just sit him. Let him rest that calf. Don't risk continuing to make it worse or even a horrible re-injury. The Bengals really screwing up, really, pulling a Colts here, in my opinion. The way the Colts handled Andrew Luck, I just think, what's the point of having them of having him getting beat up out there while he has an injured calf. I get it. You're playing, to make the playoffs and be the best team that you possibly can, but why don't you look at the long term? Why don't you look at the future? If you screw up Joe Burrow's calf too much, it's an injury you can absolutely come back from. The way, the medical science and, all that kind of stuff has improved. You come back from anything, but, I mean, why continue to let your franchise quarterback keep on getting beat up? This is a physical sport. The body ain't going to hold up forever. We saw with Big Ben. He was beat up a lot, and eventually he fell off our cliff. Look at Cam Newton. He was beat up quite a bit, but Cam Newton did look for contact, so that's fair with Cam Newton. But then you also got, Andrew Luck. You have Justin Herbert getting beat up. You have to protect your guy, and you keep trying him out there while he's injured, hoping the result is going to be different. Obviously, he's not 100%. Obviously, this offense line is horrible and can't protect him. Let him rest the calf, stop forcing it. And, this Bengals team in general, one of the worst run defenses so far. It's just not going the Bengals' way. And, offensive line is horrible, as we all know. The offense has to be so horizontal. Bengals down 9 spots at 20. 19, Green Bay Packers down 4 spots. Very disappointing outing versus the Detroit Lions. They got dominated in all phases of the game. They just cannot stop the run. This has been a problem with the Green Bay Packers even before their new defensive coordinator this year. They have always struggled to stop the run, and that continues this year. The Lions ran all over the Packers, no issue, at will, whenever they wanted to. And it didn't matter. The Packers couldn't stop it. Jordan Love has been inconsistent. I wasn't really impressed with Jordan Love in this game. Romeo Doubs, however you pronounce it. I think he's been very impressive. Jaden Reed, I think other guys could step up, but Romeo Doubs has been the guy in this offense right now. And Christian Watson just came back this week, caught a touchdown. Otherwise, didn't do too much. But Packers down 4 spots. The defense. This team just isn't. They're not that top dog in the NFC North anymore. There's a little known Lion down the street in Detroit that's taking over. Sorry, Pack. All right, 18. Washington Commanders are up 2 spots. So I know they lost, but it's just the way that the board kind of fell, the way teams moved, that I felt it makes sense to move the Commanders up 2. The Packers moving down a lot, Bengals and Falcons all moving down a lot, and any of these other teams I didn't feel deserved to move up to 18 or to move. I just didn't feel the need to move Washington down because of the way the board fell, but they looked all right. The offense really picked it up. They have some good weapons. Sam Howell really impressive. Nice bounce back game after the 4 interception outing versus the Bills. I was really impressed. The defense not looking good. Defense was really struggling. But other than that, I don't really have too much more to say about the Commanders. Defense is really struggling. Sam Howell got it going this week, and the weapons, it could be inconsistent. But I like Sam Howell. I think he's shown some great things so far. With the Commanders up at 18. Like I said, I don't really have too much more to go on about the Commanders. Well, it was an impressive game versus the Eagles, so maybe that garners, a little more respect and deserving of moving up 2 spots compared to the Packers, Bengals, and Falcons, who all kind of had really crappy weeks. Really got their brains beat out. All right, 17, New Orleans Saints. They are down 3 spots. So the New Orleans Saints, they're not looking too good. The pass rush hasn't been there since the first 2 weeks. You do have some playmakers in the secondary. Isaac Yiadom has actually quietly been very good. Marshawn Lattimore is a good corner, as we all know. But this offense is not in the right home about. They can't get anything going. It's 4 games into the year. Have they scored 20 once? I think they scored 22 versus Carolina, and that might have been it. And they really struggled to beat Carolina. So this is a team I could continue to see fall on this board. When you do a lot of things all right, but you can't, you don't stand out in anything, it makes it very easy. It makes it very predictable on how to beat the Saints. Derek Carr hasn't looked good. Offensive line hasn't been great. You've had Chris Olave has been one of your few bright spots. Couldn't really get the run game going. The Saints moved down 3 spots. Number 16, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, man, were they as good as their 2-1 record? I don't think so. That defense has really been carrying them and really bringing them to a couple of wins here, and that's only going to last so long. Kenny Pickett has not looked apart. He's struggling. I'm not a fan of Kenny Pickett right now. I don't think he's the answer, and it seemed like Mitch Trubisky is going to be in for a little while. Just not seeing it from Kenny Pickett. Don't really have, the weapons there right now. They're struggling. The offensive line is horrible. Can't really get the run game going. It's just kind of a mess, and the Steelers are really struggling to tackle big time. The Texans really took it to the man. C.J. Stroud and a rookie quarterback. No, that's no budge. That's no shot taken at Stroud. Stroud has been one of the better rookie quarterbacks that we've seen in recent time. He's been so good. He's been incredible. He's playing like he's been playing the game for, 6-7 years now. He's playing like he's in his prime, and he can only get better from here. So, and the offense line is horrible. The Steelers, like, what's going on here? It just like, when that defense is going to struggle versus some good offenses, a good quarterback, some weapons, some good receivers. That's when this defense, is going to struggle a little bit, and the offense can't get anything done. The offense can't do anything. You can't count on the offense to score anything, to do anything. So Pittsburgh moves down 4 spots to 16. I can see Pittsburgh to continue to move down here. Number 15, LA Rams. Oh, last thing about the Steelers. A lot of people are blaming Matt Canada. Yeah, he's not great, but Kenny Pickett is also kind of making you limit yourself when you do with the playbook for how poorly he's been playing. So it's kind of a little bit of both there. You can't blame the OC for everything, but Kenny Pickett has not been good himself either. Number 15, LA Rams. Man. Looking like an incredible team that first half. Looking so good. Matthew Stafford had a very good day versus, Matthew Stafford. Puka Nakua's him. Offensive line was all right. Kyler Williams got going. Defense was impressive the first half, but we saw it could be inconsistent. We'll see how Matthew Stafford, he's still stuck in there and won the game even though he was injured. The Rams had a pretty good game. They're going to move up 7 spots because they're winning here. They've been winning. They've been playing some pretty good football. And, they beat the Colts, 26-23? They were up 23. So, the fact the Colts came back, a little concerning. But they did pull it off, and they're winning. So that is why they moved up so much. Other teams just losing and not getting it done, so Rams going to move up. Teams are going to take advantage, whether, doesn't matter who they're well, it does kind of matter who they're playing, but still going to take advantage of that kind of win. Number 14, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield has been the man. He's been clutch, making big-time throws, big-time moments. And this Bucs team, they could take that football away as well. They're creating a ton of turnovers. And Baker Mayfield, this offense, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Todd Bowles seems like he's improving as a head coach, which you don't see very often. I think this Buccaneers team is the favorite to win the South right now. The NFC South, you got the Panthers, you have the Falcons who are on the downside. We know what we have in Ritter. We're kind of, the tape's out. He's not playing good. Then you have the Saints who are kind of on the downfall. Can't really get anything going offensively. I think the Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a team to beat right now in the NFC South. And, they proved it. They just beat the Saints, who I consider to be the better team in the AFC or in the NFC South for some time. But I mean, the Bucs defense really creating turnovers. Baker Mayfield not making too many boneheaded mistakes. He's creating. I'm really impressed with this Buccaneers team so far, and they, rightfully so, they move up 5 spots to number 14. All right, the Houston Texans. This is the team I've been telling people about all off season long. Don't be surprised, if this Texan team comes out and they're a good football team this year. C.J. Stroud has absolutely killed it, and that's only going to make it better. I was saying all offseason, man, don't be surprised if the Texans can push the Jaguars to the limit for this division, and the Texans are going to do that all the way through, if not just take it, because this team has been incredible. You have weapons: Tank Dell, Nico Collins, John Mechie, Robert Woods. You have Dalton Schultz, Brevin Jordan. You can argue the biggest weakness is the offensive line, which looked better versus the Steelers, and you got the run game going a little bit on top of that. It's a playmaking defense. I would like to see them get a little more pressure, but dude, I am so pumped up for this Texans team. They're impressing me. When you see a team like the Texans and the Lions both really killing it, really taking it to the next level, it really, gets you excited, gets you pumped up. Now, I'm not just pouring my feelings into this one. The Texans have put themselves up here at 13. They just beat the Steelers, who are number 12. 30-6, 30-12. They beat them really good. They beat the Jaguars really. They beat the Jaguars really well. The Texans are more than deserving to be up here. More than deserving. I know week 1 they got beat really good by the Ravens, but the defense still played hard. CJ Stroud still had a great game. I'm telling you, man, this Texans team is a sleeper. They could maybe make the playoffs and, play a little bit of spoiler. It's still early. But that's the feeling I'm getting from the Texans. They're going to be the underdog, the sleeper. No one's going to want to play them because of CJ Stroud. And, you don't know who to cover. Defenses are playmakers. I may be getting ahead of myself, but that's what I've seen from this Texans team so far. They've really impressed me. Number 12, Los Angeles Chargers move up 5 spots. They get it done, man. The Raiders did have a shot to win that. The Chargers need to find a way to just put games away and end them. Chris Rivers in that. They had a shot. But Justin Herbert playing at an MVP level, incredible. Josh Palmer stepped up in Mike Williams' role. Keenan Allen. They're still going to miss Mike Williams in a huge way, but hopefully Austin Eckler comes back soon. Josh Kelly hasn't really been the guy there. The defense has stepped up and made some big plays and some big moments the last couple of games, and big moments too. They've done it. They just did it versus the Raiders, and then they did it versus the Vikings multiple times because I don't remember if the Chargers fumbled it or threw an interception, but the Chargers defense, the first 2 weeks they're kind of the vibe kill. They're kind of like the reason, not all the reason why they lost, but defense didn't do their jobs when it mattered most. Last 2 weeks, it's been quite the opposite. And Khalil Mack, what did he have, like 6 sacks? Holy. Number 11, Jacksonville Jaguars. Hold on, I got to put our movers up there. Jaguars move up 2 spots. I'm still not sold. on this Jaguars team. I think they scored, they score 1 or 2 offensive touchdowns? I think it was 1. You got to pick 6. And you had a couple of field goals in there. I think Trevor Lawrence is still playing at a mediocre level. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is taking it to the next step. I mean, I just don't see it in this offense right now, man. Trevor Lawrence is struggling. I mean, they have playmakers, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, and the Falcons defense is good. The defensive line is really impressive, but for how much that Jaguars offense was on the field, only scoring 1 touchdown is kind of disappointing. I'm not too impressed with the Jaguars right now. Even though they're 11, they're winning. I am way more impressed with the Houston Texans, who we saw the Jaguars really struggle against a couple of weeks ago. It's just like, Trevor Lawrence, he's missing reads. This offense is too inconsistent, man. And, I'm just not seeing it. They got to a good start last week, but versus the Falcons in London, but I'm just not seeing it, brother. I'm not seeing it, family. Number 10, and, we'll see as the season goes on. Maybe he'll continue to get better, but I'm not seeing it from Lawrence. I'm seeing much, 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 much better quarterback play out of CJ Stroud currently. And, a lot of people are going to say, Trevor Lawrence had Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence had... I don't care. He has Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne in the backfield, a great head coach, and Doug Peterson. Offensive line isn't great. I don't care. He's considered a generational prospect. I don't care. And CJ Stroud is playing 100 times better. CJ Stroud doesn't have a Calvin Ridley. Granted, he has a very good Nico Collins right now. He doesn't have a great offensive line either. I'd argue Jaguars running back is better. There's no reason why Trevor Lawrence can't be playing at the level that CJ Stroud is playing at. I don't think there's any more excuses, man. There isn't. Maybe the offensive line isn't playing great, but that offense is meant to get the ball out quick. Trevor Lawrence isn't getting it done. He's not. CJ Stroud is the best quarterback in that division right now, believe it or not. Number 10, Cleveland Browns, they moved down 4 spots. DTR didn't look too good. He was overthrowing quite a few passes. He had a rough week. It was 1 week. So early on, he had a very good college career. I thought he had some really nice traits coming into this year. He had really nice preseason. It's 1 game. That experience under his belt is only going to help him. It'll get better. I'm not sure if Deshaun Watson is supposed to come back or not, but if he does, it'd be a boost. But I still think that the Browns can win with DTR as long as DTR can get a little better from that last performance and use it as a learning curve, as a learning game, as a learning stone. And I think DTR could. He has a great mindset. He's a great human being. He's a hard worker, and I don't see why he can't. But the running game hasn't been the same without Nick Chubb. Of course, they still been running the ball. They have playmakers: Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore. Just ultimately, they just couldn't get it going against the Ravens, playing a really good Ravens team that likes to disguise a lot of coverages. They like the blitz, main coverage. They like that kind of stuff, and that is really not an ideal defense for a young rookie quarterback to go up against in his first start. But I'll still tell you, I still think this defense is elite. They just got tired, and they couldn't do too much after a while. It's just like when you're on the field that long, when the offense can't get anything going, the defense gets tired, and there's only so much they could do. The defense did their job this game. They allowed 27 points, but this is still an elite defense. Number 9, Seattle Seahawks, dominating win over I'm blanking, over the New York Giants on Monday Night Football. The Giants just looking like a mess, and but Geno Smith has looked really good. DK Metcalf has looked good. Tyler Lockett is great. The defense is making plays. Devon Witherspoon really stepped up, really impressed me versus the Giants. It was a pretty good matchup for the Seahawks. Good coaching, good offense, good defense. Just all around a good game for the Seahawks team. And that pick six really sealed the deal in that game. Seattle at number 9, move up 1 spot. Hopefully they can continue to move up here. They're showing themselves. They're showing that they could continue to be a really good team from last year. Number 8, Detroit Lions. Man, the clear winners. The big dogs are the big cats, so to say, in the NFC North now. They're the clear. I think they're the clear number 1. Minnesota, they just have too many issues, and as we just saw, they put they opened up an ass whooping on the Green Packers candy asses. Yeah, a little rock reference there. But yeah, man, I'm impressed with Detroit. I'm impressed. This is a very good football team. Very good. Jared Goff is playing at a high level. Yeah, you have Josh Reynolds stepping up. Mon Ra. Sam Laporta has been a great, reliable tight end target. He's been making big plays. The offensive line's looking good. Taylor Decker struggled a little bit, so coming off that injury. But, they're running the football at will. They're beating down defenses with David Montgomery, throwing Jahmyr Gibbs in there once in a while. Hopefully Gibbs starts to get a little more of a workload. He's so efficient, man. Just giving the ball a little bit more. But David Montgomery is that workhorse, and he's getting it done. So why not take it away from the man that is, not really winning the football games himself, but really giving you a good chance to win every single week in David Montgomery. Oh, and the defense really stepped up this week. They're really good at stopping the run. And Hutchinson, I forgot, they have a guy on the interior that really impressed me, made quite a few big plays. But the Niners moved to 8. Number 7, you have the Baltimore Ravens moving up 1 spot to number 7. Man, 27-3, beating the Browns pretty good after a disappointing loss to the Colts. Good to see them bounce back. Lamar Jackson and that offense put up 27 points against what I would say is an elite defense. That offense just able to wear out Cleveland, stay on the field, make them tired, and the defense, did very good against a young and inexperienced quarterback in DTR. Ravens move up 1 spot to 7. Number 6, Miami Dolphins moved down 4 spots from number 2 to 6. So the issue, the Dolphins kind of looked like the old Dolphins. Tua kind of like, he looked all right. He struggled a little bit. The offensive line didn't look great. Don't forget, I believe the Bills were without Tre'Davious White and Jordan Poyer, 2 stud defenders. Josh Allen, that defense isn't looking really good right now. it's been overshadowed by how good their offense has been. And we'll see what the Dolphins, if the Dolphins can get back on track this week. I believe they're playing the New York Giants. So that's a good matchup to get back on track. Very young and inexperienced secondary, and then you got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, just a Giants team that is a mess. That's a get right game. That's we're coming back hard. We're coming back with a vengeance. And the Miami Dolphins looking to make a statement win versus the Giants this week coming up and really say, hey, we're still here, but you lost to the Bills by 28 points. It's not a good outing, very bad. They're really missing Jalen Ramsey. Better hope they can get Jalen Ramsey back this year because that defense really struggling. Josh Allen had a day. They ran the ball all right as well. So Miami Dolphins team looking like the Dolphins team of old. Can they get back on track versus the Giants in week 5? Number 5 of the Dallas Cowboys moving up 2 spots once again. So I think that Cardinals game was honestly a fluke, and there's a lot of turnovers, there's a lot of weird plays, and the Cardinals came out to play hard, and you can't take that away from the Cardinals, and you can't just overlook that when you're doing power rankings. The resume matters, and Dallas being, other than that game, they have dominated their competition. You could argue they could still be in the top 4. You could absolutely argue it. I would not say you're wrong, but they still. They have to build up some of those wins again. They have to continue to dominate because these top 4 teams are playing really well. But really, it's the top 5 teams. Really, there's a lot of good teams in the NFL this year. There's a lot of good teams. But, yeah, Dallas here at 5, moving up 2. Dak Prescott, they really got themselves back on track versus the Patriots. Really impressed, see that they can bounce back because, I thought the Patriots had a shot in that game with how good their defense has been. And, I thought they would have a shot, but obviously not. Number 4, you have the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, they are in rough waters right now. I really almost put the Cowboys over them. I probably should have. It's just like, man, that passing defense is struggling, and they haven't really dominated in any of their football games. So that that's the case you can really make for the Cowboys replacing the Eagles at 4. The Cowboys have dominated the competition, except for that Cardinals game, which is really pulling them down a little bit. But it's really not, too much to look into. This week, they have a real test in San Fran. Really good football team, obviously, number 1, one of the most impressive teams in the NFL, the best team in the NFL right now, in my opinion, and it's why they're at 1. But, this Philadelphia team, they better get it figured out. They're really missing Jonathan Gannon, as I said earlier on in the video. Eagles fans couldn't wait to push Jonathan Gannon out the door. And at first, I'm like, it's probably a bad sign for the Cardinals. But, at the end of the day, you look back on the Eagles' defense, they had so many scheme-dependent players. They had so many players, the coverages. Jonathan Gannon just did a phenomenal job getting everyone into the right spots and right places and getting them ready for the games. And this year, they just don't have that. You do have a couple of injuries. Avonte Max moved. He's injured for the year. You had someone else get hurt for the year. So now you have James Bradbury in the slot. You have Darius Slay on the other side, and the age saw in these corners in this passing defense when you played some incredible weapons and a decent quarterback. Sam Howell is going to be a good quarterback, man. I think he's going to be very good. It was nice to see him bounce back against another very good football team after just throwing 4 picks versus the Bills. But Eagles, really giving them the benefit of the doubt of them winning those 4 games. They shouldn't be at 4. They should not. It should probably be the Cowboys there at 4 because the Cowboys, it's just that Cardinals game is sticking with you a little bit. But at the end of the day, they've crushed their opposition other than the Cardinals. And the Eagles, they've struggled. They struggled in week 1 versus the Patriots team that looks horrible now. Now, you don't take away, you can't take away much from week 1. But, as we saw in week 1, that was a foreshadowing for the passing defense. And you're struggling against the Patriots defense. And, the Washington doesn't have a great offensive line yet. They're getting things off like crazy. I'm not impressed with this Eagles team, and when they go up against the big boys, I think they're really going to struggle, and I just don't see the same Eagles team as last year. I get it; they're not playing great, but they're still winning. They're still finding a way. I thought Jalen Hurts looked much better this game, but we need consistency. We need something more from this defense. It's either the offense or the defense. They can't get on track. So Eagles really trending in messy waters right now. And let me see who they're playing right now. I want to see who they're playing so I could get an idea. Eagles week 5. Let's see who they're playing in week 5. They're playing the Rams. Matthew Stafford is an incredible quarterback. He could slice and dice any defense. Sam Howell did it. Matthew Stafford can definitely do it. I believe Cooper Kupp's going to be back. Puka Nacua. You have Kyron Williams, who's been very good out of the backfield. And maybe not going to be able to run the football, but that is a test for them right there. And if they don't dominate this football, should they really dominate? I'm not sure, but the talent and the team they do have, they should probably dominate the Rams and have a pretty big day. They don't, man. I'm worried. I'm gonna start being a little worried. Number 3, Kansas City Chiefs, didn't really feel the need to move them either. They barely got out of there with versus the New York Jets, but they did. Maybe some calls were questionable, like the holding, but you can't really blame it on one call. But that was a pretty bad one. Patrick Mahomes playing well. He did have a rough game, but Mahomes, he'll be fine. He's gonna have those rough games. Josh Allen and Mahomes both really crapped the bed versus this Jets defense, but the difference is, that Jets the KC team really found a way to get it figured out, and that Bills team in Week 1 just wasn't. That's not, that's not the Bills. Number 2, you have the Buffalo Bills. I can argue that the Bills are the best team in the football as well. I honestly think, I've been saying for a couple of weeks it was the Niners and the Cowboys 1A, 1B, but now I think it's the Niners and the Bills 1A, 1B. But I don't see any reason to move the Niners down. They've been, they've dominated. The Cardinals, they gave them a fight for the money for a bit of that game, but then the Niners said, we're going to take this. This is our game. This, we can't lose this. We're going to win it. And they dominated like they should have, in the long haul down the stretch. But and you have the Bills at 2, man. Really impressed with this Bills team. Week 1, you could just throw it out the window. That's not the Bills team. But I'll tell you, man, Bills team has been very impressive. That defense has been awesome. They did all that. I believe Tre'Davious White and Jordan Poyer were out, and they still allowed the Dolphins to 20 points. So very impressive outing for the Bills there. And that is my Week 5 NFL Power Rankings. Let me know what you guys think. Comments, questions, concerns. I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. And that's all you got from me. So thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where your fans welcome. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. And this is the JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.